From the outside, Drake looked untouchable. The man who turned Toronto into a global music capital, the chart topper who broke records every single year, and the celebrity who seemed to have everything: fame, fortune, and respect. But what if I told you that everything we thought about Drake's dominance was about to shatter? What if I told you that behind the million-dollar shows and Instagram-perfect lifestyle, Drake's entire empire is quietly crumbling, and the world is about to witness the downfall of one of the biggest superstars alive? Because right now, sources are whispering that Drake's life is spiraling in ways fans couldn't even imagine. Forget the cars, forget the mansions, forget the Grammys. This is about betrayal, lawsuits, broken friendships, and an industry that suddenly seems ready to turn its back on him. And the scariest part, we might already be watching the end of Drake's career unfold in real time. But how did it all come to this? How did the man who once called himself the Sixth God go from selling out stadiums to being accused of losing control over his entire empire? Tonight, we're breaking down the shocking truth about Drake's fall from grace. And trust me, by the end of this story, you'll never look at him the same way again. Because this isn't just about music. It's about betrayals that cut deep. It's about secret scandals being exposed. It's about insiders leaking private messages that could ruin everything he's built. And it's about a man who thought he was invincible, now watching the world he created collapse piece by piece. So buckle up. Because what's about to unfold isn't just another celebrity drama, so the kind of downfall you never thought you'd see. And the first crack in Drake's empire. It's a lot bigger than anyone realized. Drake's rise was never smooth, and that's exactly why this downfall feels like destiny catching up. Long before the flashy OVO chains and sold-out tours, Drake was the underdog. He was the kid mocked for being the soft rapper from Degrassi, the Canadian outsider who didn't fit the mold of American rap royalty. People laughed when he first dropped mixtapes. They said he didn't belong, that he'd never survive in a genre built on street credibility and raw grit. But Drake fought back. He leaned into vulnerability, turned heartbreak into hits, and redefined what rap could sound like. Suddenly, everyone wanted the Drake formula: moody beats, emotional hooks, and verses that blurred the line between rap and R&B. By the mid-2010s, Drake wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was the culture. Every album, every feature, every Instagram caption felt like a headline. And yet, insiders say the cracks were always there. Behind the scenes, Drake's empire was a house of cards built on fragile alliances, bitter rivalries, and a growing list of enemies who were just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Remember Meek Mill exposing him for ghostwriting? That was the first real blow to his credibility. It should have ended him. But instead, Drake turned it into fuel. Back to Back wasn't just a diss track. It was a cultural moment, a middle finger to everyone who doubted him. Still, the Meek Mill feud exposed something bigger. Drake's career was built not just on talent, but on a carefully constructed image. He wasn't untouchable. He wasn't invincible. And in the ruthless world of music, once people smell weakness, they never forget it. Then came Pusha T's The Story of Adidas, a diss track that did more than bruise Drake's ego, it ripped open the curtain. The hidden child, the blackface photo, the shocking idea that Drake had secrets darker than anyone imagined. Fans forgave him. Of course, they always do. But the industry didn't. Behind closed doors, executives, producers, even fellow artists started whispering. Drake's time at the top wouldn't last forever. And here's the thing nobody talks about. Drake's dominance was never just about music. It was about branding. OVA became a global powerhouse, a label, a fashion line, a lifestyle brand. But with every new venture, Drake took on more risks, more enemies, more cracks in his armor. The artists signed to OVO. Many complained they were neglected, their careers sacrificed for Drake's spotlight. Insiders leaked messages of artists venting about being trapped under the OVO machine. The loyalty Drake preached in his lyrics. Fans started wondering if it was all just smoke and mirrors. And then, of course, came the friendships turned battles. Once close allies suddenly turning cold. People like Kanye West, who went from collaborator to sworn enemy. Rumors of betrayal, private conversations being leaked, and constant drama that made Drake look less like the sixth god and more like a man surrounded by sharks. But what nobody realized is that all these moments, every feud, every scandal, every betrayal were just stepping stones leading to this very moment. The moment where everything finally unravels. And if you think the past controversies were bad, wait until you see what Drake is facing right now. Because the biggest scandal of his career didn't come from an enemy, came from someone much closer. And this betrayal, it changes everything. It all began on a night that should have been triumphant. Drake had just wrapped one of his biggest shows of the year, thousands screaming his name. Fireworks exploding, the entire arena chanting every lyric word for word. But backstage, instead of celebrating, Drake's inner circle was at war. According to leaked insider reports, the fight wasn't about music. It was about money. Massive amounts of money, one of Drake's closest business partners. A man who had been by his side for over a decade accused him of hiding funds, of cutting shady deals behind the team's back. Sources say screaming erupted in the dressing room. Phones were pulled out. Someone even claims there's video footage of Drake throwing his own phone against the wall in rage, shouting, "You think you built this? I am this." And that's when the betrayal hit. Because within 24 hours, screenshots of private OVO group chats leaked online. Messages showing Drake allegedly mocking his own team, laughing at artists under his label, even calling one of his oldest friends dead weight. Fans were stunned. Was the man who preached loyalty and brotherhood really stabbing his own people in the back? But that was only the beginning. The internet exploded when an anonymous account, rumored to be run by someone inside Drake's camp, began dropping bombshell after bombshell. First, it was leaked invoices showing millions missing from OVO accounts. Then, alleged voice notes of Drake ranting about fellow rappers, calling them irrelevant and leeches. And just when fans thought it couldn't get worse, came the photo. A blurry but unmistakable shot of Drake, sitting in a Vegas hotel suite, surrounded by piles of cash, two mystery women, and what appeared to be suspicious-looking substances on the table. Within hours, the hashtag Drake Exposed was trending worldwide, but here's the twist nobody saw coming. Those leaks didn't just damage his image, they sparked an investigation. Insiders whisper that powerful industry figures, once terrified of Drake's influence, are now circling like vultures. Former collaborators are lawyering up, ex-friends are preparing to speak out, and rival labels are pressuring the media to go harder than ever before. Even worse, rumors began swirling that one of the leaks came not from a business partner, not from an enemy rapper, but from someone inside his own family. The betrayal is personal. The walls are closing in, and just when fans thought the drama had reached its peak, a second wave of leaks dropped. It's time far more dangerous than anything before, because these weren't just messy group chats. These were documents, contracts, non-disclosure agreements, and deals so shocking that people began to question whether Drake's empire had been built on lies all along. The truth: Drake wasn't just losing control of his brand. He was losing his career, but the most shocking reveal was still to come. And it would leave even Drake's most loyal fans questioning everything. The second wave of leaks hit like a nuclear bomb. This wasn't gossip anymore. This was evidence. Screenshots of contracts, emails with industry giants, and shady side deals suddenly plastered across Reddit, Twitter, and gossip blogs. Fans who once worshipped Drake were now dissecting every line of these documents. And what they found was jaw-dropping, allegedly. Drake had been funneling profits away from OVO artists, keeping a staggering percentage of their revenue while publicly presenting himself as their mentor. The documents showed that some artists under OVO received less than 20% of their royalties, with the rest disappearing into a maze of shell companies tied directly back to Drake's name. Social media exploded. One fake but viral tweet read, "Drake really built OVO as a prison, not a label. Man's been eating off his artists like a vampire." #FreeOVO. Another tweet that racked up 500,000 likes said, "OVO equals only Drake wins." But the leaks didn't stop there. Hidden among the files was a bombshell email exchange allegedly between Drake and a top streaming platform executive. In it, Drake appeared to be negotiating special treatment for his albums, ensuring his songs would always dominate playlists, guaranteeing him billions of streams that smaller artists could never compete with. If true, it meant Drake's reign at the top wasn't just talent and hard work, it was manipulation of the entire system. Within hours, rival rappers pounced. Meek Mill resurfaced with a cryptic post, "Told y'all years ago, but nobody listened." Pusha T couldn't resist either, tweeting a single emoji, a sly reference to squeezing Drake's empire dry. Kanye went on Instagram Live, ranting about fake kings being protected by corporations, and the most shocking reaction. One of Drake's own OVO artists went public, breaking their silence after years of loyalty. In a now-deleted Instagram story, they wrote, "He made us sign our lives away. We were never family. We were pawns." Fans couldn't believe it. The betrayal wasn't just coming from enemies anymore, it was coming from the very people Drake once called brothers. The backlash spread beyond music. Major brands began reviewing their partnerships. With Drake, fashion insiders whispered that Nike was quietly distancing OVO from their campaigns. Even a luxury alcohol brand, rumored to be working with him, suddenly scrubbed all mentions of Drake from their pages, and just when everyone thought things couldn't spiral further, they did. Because buried in those leaked documents was something darker, something more dangerous than contracts and royalties. A connection to a shadowy figure in the industry. Someone with a reputation for destroying careers overnight. Fans started piecing it together. Insiders started panicking. And suddenly the question wasn't just about Drake's career, was about his safety. The empire was crumbling. Yes, but the next revelation made it clear that Drake wasn't just losing everything. He might be in real danger. And then it happened, the revelation that no one could have predicted. The one that made even Drake's harshest critics pause and say, "Wait, this could actually destroy him." Late one night, a mysterious account dropped what it claimed was the final piece of the puzzle. A leaked recording. Not a text, not an email, a voice recording. The voice was unmistakably Drake's, filled with panic, anger, and fear. In the audio, he's allegedly heard yelling about a deal gone wrong, mentioning names that fans instantly recognized as some of the most dangerous and powerful behind-the-scenes figures in the music industry. The recording suggested that Drake wasn't just tangled in music politics, he was caught in financial ties with people who had the kind of influence that went way beyond record sales. We're talking about shadowy moguls with rumored ties to crime syndicates. People who don't forgive betrayal lightly. One chilling line from the recording stuck with everyone who heard it. "If this gets out, I'm finished. And they'll come for me too." The internet froze. Was this really Drake admitting he was in over his head? Was the downfall bigger than the charts? Bigger than OVO? Bigger than his career itself? Suddenly, it wasn't just about music anymore, it was about survival, and the ripple effect was immediate. Twitter Spaces lit up with fans dissecting the audio like detectives. YouTube exploded with conspiracy videos titled "Drake in Debt to Dangerous Figures" and "The Secret Drake Doesn't Want You to Hear." Even mainstream outlets cautiously began reporting, calling it the most serious scandal of Drake's career. And the reactions from inside the industry. Brutal. An anonymous producer told a gossip site, "We all knew Drake was powerful, but we didn't know how. Now we do. He played with fire, and it looks like he's about to get burned." Other rappers suddenly grew bold. Kendrick Lamar dropped a thinly veiled bar in a freestyle. Spitting "Kings built on fraud crumble quicker than clay castles." Fans instantly connected the dots, but the real shock came from the fans themselves. Some stood by Drake, insisting the leaks were fabricated, part of a smear campaign to destroy him. But others turned their backs completely, calling him a fraud, a snake, and most damning of all, finished. Memes flooded TikTok and Twitter. Clips of Drake crying on stage were edited with captions like, "When you realize the sixth god can't save himself." One viral video with millions of views simply said, "Drake, God's plan, reality, man's collapse." And in the middle of it all, one more leak dropped short, simple but terrifying. A single message allegedly sent to Drake from an anonymous number. "You know what you did. Now it's time to pay." Fans were stunned. The story had gone from scandal to something much darker. Drake wasn't just losing fans, friends, or money anymore. The leak suggested he might be losing his safety, his future, maybe even his life. And as the story spiraled, one final piece of the puzzle was revealed, something so shocking it could flip everything we thought we knew upside down. Because the person rumored to be behind these leaks, the betrayal may have come from someone closer than anyone imagined. And then the unthinkable truth came crashing down. The whispers that had haunted every corner of social media, every anonymous blog post, every hushed conversation in the industry finally burst into the open. The leaks. The betrayal. The avalanche of destruction tearing Drake's empire apart. It wasn't an enemy. It wasn't a rival rapper. It wasn't even a bitter ex-friend. It was his own blood. Multiple insiders began pointing fingers at someone within Drake's own family circles, someone he trusted completely. The theory spread like wildfire. A close relative, furious over years of being sidelined, had allegedly decided to torch the empire from within. Screenshots of conversations began to surface, suggesting this family member had been the anonymous source feeding files, voice notes, and contracts to gossip blogs. Imagine the betrayal. The man who built his entire brand on the theme of loyalty, on the idea of family first, was being undone by the very people carrying his last name. The irony was brutal. Fans online summed it up perfectly with one post. "Drake taught us to never switch up, but his own family just switched on him." This is Shakespeare-level betrayal. The industry was stunned. Social media caught fire with wild speculation. Was it a cousin who had been quietly resentful of Drake's fame? Was it his father, known for occasionally causing controversy with loose talk? Or was it even more shocking, someone even closer, someone he'd defended publicly only to be stabbed in the back in the cruelest way? Twitter hashtags like #DrakeFamilyDrama and #OVOBetrayal trended globally. Fan pages turned into war zones of theories, dissecting every old interview, every cryptic lyric, every photo of Drake with his relatives, searching for hidden clues. And then came the breaking news: a lawsuit. According to leaked legal documents, Drake's empire was now being dragged into court over allegations of financial misconduct, mismanagement, and fraud. And the most damning part? Sources claim one of the key witnesses was none other than the very family member accused of leaking everything. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was legal, official, and devastating. Drake wasn't just facing public humiliation. He was staring down the barrel of lawsuits that could bleed his empire. One insider bluntly told a tabloid, "If this sticks, Drake isn't just losing fans. He's losing everything: his company, his fortune, his legacy." This is checkmate. Fans who once defended him were now panicking. Supporters tweeted desperate messages like, "If Drake falls, the whole culture falls with him." But his critics? They celebrated. Memes of collapsing towers, of chess kings being toppled, of golden thrones turning to dust filled the internet. It wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was a public execution of his legacy. And yet, even as the world declared his career over, whispers began to spread of one final card Drake was hiding, something nobody expected. Something so dangerous, so shocking, that it could either save him or drag everyone else down with him. Because Drake wasn't going out quietly. If he was falling, he was going to make sure the whole industry burned with him. And that's when Drake's downfall took the darkest, most sinister turn yet. 4 weeks. The world had been convinced Drake was finished, betrayed, and cornered. But insiders began to leak whispers that Drake wasn't retreating. He was plotting, and what he was about to unleash could drag the entire music industry into chaos. According to shocking new reports, Drake had allegedly been keeping a secret vault of his own, an arsenal of dirt. Files, recordings, and receipts on the very same people now turning against him. Rappers, producers, executives, even celebrities outside of music. Drake, the man who built his career off of catchy hooks and vulnerability, had apparently been quietly. The first sign came in the form of a mysterious Instagram story, just a black screen with the words, "If I fall, everyone falls with me." Within minutes, it disappeared. But screenshots spread like wildfire. Was Drake threatening to expose the entire industry? Fans and haters alike were stunned. Some begged him to release it all, tweeting, "Drake, if you got dirt on everyone, drop it. Expose them all. Let the industry burn." Others warned him, posting, "If he really has those files, he's not just ending his career, he's putting himself in real danger." These people won't let that slide. And then, a chilling twist, a cryptic Twitter thread began circulating, allegedly from someone inside Drake's circle. The thread claimed Drake had already prepared a series of files, dubbed the archive, filled with damning evidence on some of the most powerful names in entertainment. The posts claimed he had recordings of shady label deals, private feuds, celebrity affairs, and even political ties. The hashtag Drake Archive immediately trended worldwide. Suddenly, the question wasn't just about Drake's downfall, was about the possibility of the entire music industry being exposed in one catastrophic leak. Meanwhile, the lawsuit against him escalated. Court documents revealed new allegations of financial fraud and misconduct. But Drake's legal team began dropping hints that they were ready to reveal information that would shock the world. Was Drake planning to weaponize his alleged archive in court? Was this his revenge? The tension grew unbearable. News outlets ran with headlines like "Drake's revenge plan could topple the industry," and insiders fear Drake's last stand. And then, in the middle of the chaos, came the most jaw-dropping rumor yet. Multiple sources whispered that Drake's supposed family betrayer wasn't just leaking for money. They were being pressured by the industry itself. That Drake's fall wasn't just an accident, it was a coordinated takedown. If true, that meant Drake wasn't just fighting enemies or lawsuits. He was fighting a system that had decided it was time for him to be erased, and that left fans with a terrifying thought. If Drake really is going down, what will he reveal on the way out? What's hidden inside the archive? And who will survive if he actually opens it? Because right now, Drake isn't just losing everything, he's holding the detonator that could blow up the entire industry. And the next move. It could change music forever, and then the detonation. After weeks of silence, cryptic posts, and growing hysteria, Drake finally made his move. At exactly midnight, without warning, a link appeared on a burner Twitter account that fans immediately recognized as his. The caption? Just 3 words: they wanted war. The link led to a hidden page. Within minutes, thousands flooded it, servers crashed, blogs lit up, and the world realized what had just happened. Drake had released the first piece of what people were already calling the archive. And the contents. Devastating. The leak allegedly contained recordings of private conversations between top executives, casually admitting to rigging award shows, manipulating streaming numbers, and even sabotaging careers of up-and-coming artists to protect their golden investments. Names were dropped, big names. Household names. Suddenly, Drake wasn't the only one under fire. The entire foundation of the music industry was shaking. Twitter was chaos. One viral tweet screamed, "Drake just pulled the biggest oh no reverse card in music history. He's not going down alone. He's taking everyone with him." Hashtag Drake Archive, another read. If these files are real, this isn't a scandal. This is a revolution. The industry will never recover. And yet, the leaks didn't stop there. More files dropped, emails, allegedly exposing celebrity affairs, fake sponsorship deals, and even shocking collaborations between rappers, who claimed to hate each other publicly but were secretly planning tracks for years. Drake had receipts on everyone. The backlash was immediate. Labels scrambled to issue statements. Celebrities went into damage control mode, some denying everything, others deleting posts in panic. Meanwhile, fans began questioning everything they thought they knew about their favorite stars, and the reactions from within the industry. Absolute war. Multiple rappers took to Instagram Live, furious, demanding Drake come clean and stop dragging everyone down with him. One even threatened him directly, saying, "If Drake keeps this up, we'll make sure he never walks on stage again." But here's the chilling part. Insiders claim this was only the first drop. That Drake still has more, much more. Some are calling it career-ending for dozens of celebrities. Others are warning that if the wrong files leak, it could spark lawsuits, broken partnerships, even government investigations. And through it all, Drake has remained silent. No interviews, no official statements, no press appearances. Just a single, haunting Instagram story. A picture of a ticking clock, captioned, "This is only the beginning." Fans are divided. Some are calling him a hero, exposing the truth behind the glossy curtain of fame. Others are calling him a villain. A desperate man willing to destroy everything and everyone just to save himself. But one thing is certain. Drake has crossed the point of no return. He isn't just fighting for his career anymore. He's fighting for his survival. And in the process, he might drag the entire music industry into the flames with him. Because if this is just the beginning, imagine what happens when Drake drops the rest of the archive, and just when it seemed that chaos couldn't possibly escalate further. The final twist ripped the internet apart, because the second drop of the archive didn't just target executives or rival rappers, it exposed something so personal, so intimate that fans couldn't believe Drake himself had released it. Buried in the files were alleged private texts, voicemails, and recordings from some of the biggest names in entertainment. And many of them were people Drake once called friends. The messages painted a picture of an industry rotten to its core. Secret alliances, fake friendships, and ruthless betrayals, all documented in black and white. One text exchange allegedly showed a world-famous pop star mocking Drake behind his back, calling him washed up, while publicly posting about being family for life. Another voicemail revealed a top producer admitting he had intentionally leaked one of Drake's unfinished tracks years ago, just to watch him squirm. Fans were stunned. The very people who once praised Drake, who shared stages with him, who smiled for the cameras by his side, were now exposed as backstabbers. But the most shocking part, some of these messages were from within his own family. The theory that the betrayal came from blood was no longer just rumor, was written in the files. And yet, the most explosive revelation was saved for last. The final document in the drop wasn't about music, contracts, or gossip. It was a personal journal entry allegedly written by Drake himself. In it, he admitted that he knew the empire was fragile, that he had been collecting dirt for years because he never trusted anyone, not friends, not collaborators, not even his own family. One chilling line broke the internet. "When they finally come for me, I'll make sure the whole world burns with me." The fallout was immediate. News anchors called it the biggest implosion in modern music history. Legal experts warned Drake could face dozens of lawsuits. Industry insiders whispered that entire record labels could collapse if more files leaked. And fans, they were split down the middle, half horrified, half thrilled, all unable to look away. Memes flooded. TikTok, painting Drake as a supervillain, the Joker of the music industry. Others treated him like a martyr, a fallen king exposing the rotten kingdom around him. Hashtags like #DrakeBurnNotice and #IndustryCollapse trended for days, but here's the cliffhanger: the drop wasn't complete. Multiple insiders claim Drake still has one final file, something so dangerous it hasn't surfaced yet. Rumors say it involves names far outside of music politicians. Billionaires, global power players who could end careers, silence journalists, and maybe even endanger Drake himself if it ever went public. And that's where we are right now. Drake has lost everything: his allies, his reputation, his empire. But in the ashes of his career, he holds the most dangerous weapon in entertainment history. The question is, will he use it? Or will someone silence him before he does? Because one thing's for sure, Drake's story isn't over. It's only just beginning. And when the final file drops, it could change everything. So what do you think? Is Drake a fallen hero exposing the truth, or a desperate man dragging everyone down with him? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, because if the rumors are true, the next chapter in this scandal will be the most shocking yet.